friends.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Tottenham Hotspur. You might have noticed that the series doesn't actually have a pithy name, because anything I could think of didn't sound good enough. I nearly went with Diamond Lights, but I would have been too tempted to use the song, and then, you know, the giant monster of copyright claims would have just come down on me like a ton of bricks. So it couldn't happen. If you're enjoying it so far, drop a like, that'd be lovely. Also, apologies if I seem a little bit bedraggled right now. I've just been streaming for the past 4.5 hours and I needed to record this video directly afterwards. Link in the description to that if you're missing those out. We're doing a Scottish national team save. It's been fun so far, you could say. And I also had a question for you watching this. Firstly, what team did you pick for your beta save? And how's it going for you? And what are you thinking of FM21 so far? Because personally, now that I've had a chance to actually experience it a lot more, both with the Scotland save on Twitch, this save playing in the preseason friendlies, because I've been looking for them immensely, as well as another save I've got going. Just looking at things in the match engine, I am overwhelmed by how much the match engine has been improved. It feels so much, not only does it feel smoother in that's not even the big thing for me. It feels like you actually have control over stuff. If I find a problem with a tactic, I can analyze it, come up with a genuine solution that would in theory work in real life, you'd like to think, and then it actually looks like there are changes that you make a difference. And I'm just ecstatic for that, if I'm honest. So I know I said I was going to try and find some way to make some transfers for Spurs right now, but one of the problems I've had over this period is that because we're like using the full squads at the end with all the transfers already done, basically they already have their Premier League squad. And unless I sold people, and I really couldn't seem to drum up any interest in any players and didn't really want to sell that many of them either, it was very difficult to make any transfers. I did have a deal agreed for Pau Torres of Villarreal to come and be an extra centre-back for us to give us some real quality there, because I feel like that's an area where maybe we could improve long-term. But then I wouldn't have really been able to register him. So it's a real problem. We may still be able to do a bit more wheeling and dealing to maybe make someone leave so that we can bring someone in. But as of yet, we've actually not managed to make any signings. I've spent the entire summer focusing on trying to build a tactic, really, which is always one of the most fun parts, but can also be one of the most stressful things about FM, as I'm sure you're aware. And I think I've come up with something that, at the very least, is playable for the moment, until such time as we can analyse it over the course of the season and find some ways that we can improve it. And it sort of feels a bit counterintuitive, but I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. So I'm kind of just going to walk you through what's happened over this period as far as the tactics been not generated, but like the tactic has evolved, and then we're going to play our first game of the season today against Leicester City, and I cannot bloody wait. We're away from home, not easy against a good Leicester side, but I feel like if we can go there and get a win, it would really show that we're on the right track. And that is a big if. In addition to that, you'll notice that we got drawn in the Europa League path second qualifying round against Lincoln Red Imps. We might just sneak through. Just. May rotate a little bit in that one, I'm not going to lie. But you'll see way more about that in the next video, as we'll be doing a big chunk of these matches in that one as well. There's going to be a lot of games, actually. Someone did say, could I do this series like Wesker? I simply can't, because it would just be too long, and we're only doing this for the beta. So I think we've got enough on our plate at the moment as it is. So as you can see, we played the second 11. That was kind of meaningless. Then we played a friendly against Le Havre, and we weren't great. So I think what's important to note here is I think we were solid in this game. Basically, the original plan was to go with a 4-3-3 with the DM, 2 CMs, inside forwards most likely, because that just seems to be the type of player Spurs have, and then obviously Harry Kane through the middle. And that's what I did for the first couple of matches. And after a while, I found that what was happening was that Kane was getting far too isolated, and because I was trying to use him as a complete forward, now I may change that as well, because it doesn't really work when he's not there, he was looking for passes, and there was no one to pass the ball to a lot of the time, because the midfielders weren't able to get close enough to him. So then I thought, you know what, let's give Dele Alli a try. Now, I actually played him in this game sliding a bit deeper while I was still playing the old system. I've gone through 3 or 4 different versions of this. Now, of course, it was Harrogate Town, so we're not expecting to be under much threat ourselves. I mainly played this match so that I could make sure that we were firstly doing what the board want, i.e. with possession and stuff like that. And not only that, when you make a tactic now to keep possession, using the traditional things you would expect to do that, it does actually do that now, which is really, really nice. As you can see here, obviously they're a weaker side, so it would expect us to have lots of the ball. Particularly in the second half, when I made a few little changes to the overall instructions itself, we were looking a lot better. Despite not creating high XG chances, we were much better just putting the chances away, which I think is a real step in the right direction. It wasn't until the next game, away at Reading, that I decided to try things out by pushing Dele Alli up to be sort of just an attacking midfielder. Sort of very generic role, nothing real different about it so far. I think I have one instruction of getting further forward, and Reading are a much better opposition than Harrogate Town for a start. Now, we did concede 2 goals in this match, but they were both very, very fortunate goals from Reading. On another day, we don't concede any. One of them was a long-range strike that deflected horribly, and Lloris had no chance, and another was just a header from a set piece, I think it was in the end. But we looked much, much better creatively in this game, created a very, very high XG, a decent number of shots, just a decent number of chances overall, and scored ourselves 4 goals on the night, which was really, really good. obviously rotating the squad around. Son didn't start this one, but we looked better with a 4-2-3-1 actually, which is apparently what Spurs used to play under Poch. So that might be why they do have a lot of the personnel for that kind of system. And then in a very similar vein, we went away to QPR and arguably played even better than we did against Reading. Again, good-ish side, but not the sort of team we're going to play in the Premier League. But a good amount of, statistically, I really liked us in this game. The one thing about this one is, despite all of our efforts to keep the ball, QPR were very, very possession heavy in this match. Didn't really lead to very much from them. They still managed to score a goal, unfortunately. But for the most part, we were still very, very good, particularly in the first half. I made a few little switches in the second half after I noticed things were starting to get a bit lax, and we did kind of kick on towards the end of the match, which was nice to see. Mainly just making some substitutions. I've noticed that things like fatigue really do have an impact on your players now, which is brilliant, because that's what you want. You want that level of realism. So very, very nice indeed. So yeah, Son also had a goal disallowed in this one, so it could have potentially been even more, but a good performance in general, I would say. And then we had some more difficult friendlies. First up on that list was Valencia at home. Now, again, it's one of these games where I don't think we played that well, but I still think we defended very, very nicely and limited Valencia to very, very little in this match. We didn't have a lot of shots on target, but perhaps definitely deserved more, as we really did step it up towards the end of this match, again with some slight tactical tweaks. Harry Kane didn't start this one, as obviously we were rotating around, trying to get fitness back into other players as well. So that might have been part of the problem, that Vinicius wasn't able to perform the role as well as Harry Kane would have done, and wasn't bringing the other players into the game as much, as is very evidenced by how badly Bergwijn performed in this particular performance. And it was actually quite an even game until the end, when we made a few tactical changes. Had some really nice chances towards the end, but we were unable to convert. And lastly, and I think this is a really good indicator of why I think XG is important, as far as analysing matches a little bit. Because before, I would have looked at this game and gone, Roma have smashed us here. But they didn't. They had a lot of long shots in this match, and shots of poor quality. Now, they did still score 2 goals, which, fair enough, it happens. But we were able to score 3 goals, and I think we were actually good value for the win in the end, despite the fact that, you know, you might look at that and go, well, actually, they did quite well against you. But Roma are a very, very decent side. And again, we started with Vinicius up top in this one because Harry Kane had a slight knock, meaning that we were still able to score goals with less of that. Now, the thing I changed against Roma that I really do think made a big difference for us was, despite the fact that we're playing quite a wide system with, you know, wing backs as well as inside forwards, admittedly, was instead of focusing the play down the flanks, I started focusing the play down the middle. And what I noticed happened a lot was we'd get the ball with Vinicius, or not Kane in this scenario, and he would then be looking to roll that ball back to someone like Lamela, but usually Dele Alli in that role. And it was bringing these players into the game way more and creating more chances through this central area with nice little one-touch football. And it wasn't just relying on wide play, cross, try and score a goal. So we're sort of playing a wide system with a focus through the middle. And it seems to be working for us so far. Now, how that will perform against Leicester City today, I don't know. But we're going to find out. And that's part of the fun, isn't it? So here's where we're at tactically. This is the version 5 of the tactic. You can see kind of where we've evolved from. I think this is version 2. Yeah, so version 2 originally was sort of something like this. That sort of general sort of thing. Obviously, Dele Alli wouldn't be playing as a defensive midfielder. But that was the general idea. And then eventually we've managed to evolve to something like this. With Ndombele, the one problem with Ndombele playing as a DLP is that he does like to dribble with the ball. So essentially he plays like a supporting DLP anyway, because, yeah. And maybe we should just move him over to that as well, because he essentially becomes one anyway. Something I'll probably work on over the next few matches. But with ball-playing defenders, wing-backs there, I was a little bit unsure about having all these people being on attack and then having wing-backs on support, but it just seems to work better this way, albeit over a small sample size, and I'm happy to change that back if things start to go poorly for us at that point. We're on an attacking mentality, might change that depending on the opposition, of course, but generally speaking, we're playing out defence through the middle, shorter passing just to retain a bit more possession and build it up a little bit slower. Counter-pressing, obviously, you know, we kind of have to do that if that's the type of play we're going to do. Distribution, just kind of letting Lloris find the passes himself, seems to be coming up with some opportunities. As for the defence, that's the one area where we've got a lot more instructions. We're playing a much wider line to prevent the crosses from coming in the first place. A reasonably high line, nothing amazing. We're not going super high, but obviously an offside trap to go with that. We're not pressing like ridiculously. We're not like Gegen pressing. We're just doing some sensible pressing that's somewhat more urgent, but not amazing. And it seems to be working for us so far. Now, once we've got 3 or 4 Premier League games into the season, we'll obviously have more data that we can then work on. So, and obviously every episode will have 3 or 4 matches. Today's going to be the one example where we'll just have the one, as we had more tactical stuff to talk about. Oh, and actually, the one change I did make in the very last game against Roma was switch this role to be an attacking playmaker. Still not sold on that at all. I just wanted to see a little bit more out of Ali, but I might maybe just put him back to being an attacking midfielder and give him some custom instructions that kind of gets a bit more out of him to do exactly what I want, but I've not seen enough to really know yet. So, without further ado, we're going to get into our first game of the season today. No matter what happens, as long as I feel like we're playing okay, I won't be too bothered by it in the general. One result does not make a season, unless it's like 7-0 to Leicester. In that case, we might have a problem. That seems to be from the last match. I think I might have just... Either way, we're going to do... I don't want him in starting. I want to start Sissoko as the box-to-box. I'm torn between Ndombele and Winks in that role. Lo Celso is great for both, but basically any of these positions. I really like how versatile he is. And obviously, Gareth Bale, is he fit again yet? He's not. unfortunately. Gareth Bale picked up an injury. Imagine that. Gareth Bale picked up an injury. Yes, it happened. So sadly, we will have to go with perhaps not Lucas Moura, but Eric Lamela here, because Lucas Moura is obviously very right-footed, so doesn't work as an inside forward as well. That seems to be our strongest foot forward at the moment. When Bale's back, obviously, he will occupy that role. So, the bench. Let's just turn off the under-23s and under-18s, see what we've actually got available. You can see we're still somewhat lacking in personnel. Now, I'm going to put Bergwijn on the bench, because I don't really bother with backup goalkeepers on the bench, because you just never need them most of the time. Cut to us immediately getting an injury to our goalkeeper, but then that'll be on me, won't it? But without any further ado, first game in the Premier League under my tutelage. Watch us lose 6-0 now, and then we'll have a lot of questions to be asked. Let's get into it. Oh, wait, that wasn't even the bloody tactical screen. Now, you notice that Leicester have signed Mario Mandzukic and are playing him as a wide target man, which is interesting. So obviously I've already picked that, so that's fine. I love this. I love this a lot. So what I am going to pay attention to is these, because it does seem that these are important. I was using them a lot in the preseason ones. Your assistant does seem to genuinely give important feedback that's useful this time around, and that's such a nice change. So, Moussa Sissoko's already motivated. Harry Kane is professional as ever. What a shock. Hands in... Let's give the fans something to cheer for today. Okay, they didn't really care. What about hands together, faith in you? Yeah, that's a bit better. I do like these. I think they're definitely an improvement over what they had before. Right then, we're in. Oh dear. Let me just move that a lot closer. Make sure I've got all my highlight settings set up. So one thing I still wish you could do is not have this on this drop down. In 2D, it doesn't make quite so much difference, actually, but it is still quite cumbersome, and I'd rather have the option to turn this off and just have a little bit less clutter, but I still want to be able to see the match stats during the highlights. But, okay, we'll make do, I suppose. It's still a little bit... I just want a little bit more control over it. And I do wonder if it's because it was encouraging the defence to push up a little bit more as Jamie Vardy comes through and Hugo Lloris with the big save there. Okay, big chance for Leicester early doors, but we got away with it. I have got some custom set pieces on, but I'm not convinced by them yet in any way. So far, so very average. Not a lot of highlights for us as yet, but hopefully we can work our way into the game a little bit and not concede too many more chances like that one with Jamie Vardy. It's one of the dangers of playing a high line against a team like Leicester with a player like Vardy. But we'll see. Reguilon, here we go. Sissoko, back to Ndombele. Here we go. Get that ball out wide. But obviously we're playing through the middle, but you see what I mean? Oh, here we go. Reguilon's in. Oh, nice little cutback for Lamela there. Good strike, but well blocked by the defenders. I think we also have low crosses too. I don't know if I mentioned that. Aurier gets the ball in. Dele Alli with the flick on header, comes to Sissoko, and it's saved by Schmeichel. That's a bit more like it. Bit of a scramble there, but we got the shot away. We've still got to be wary of those kind of balls. And in fact, Vardy's managed to get behind here, and it's a great save by Lloris. Again, maybe we should drop deeper, just because it is Jamie Vardy. And as much as we're playing that offside trap, it's not been very successful so far in this match. Just going to get a bit of encouragement going. Maddison's ball in. Fofana, good save by Lloris. Right, now he really does need to be looking for this pass. I think he will find it. Okay, he's gone for Lamela instead. Strange choice there, Hugo. Don't know if I rate that one. We've not been overly convincing so far. There was a period where we started to get on top of the game, but towards the end of that half, Leicester just started to find some gaps again, and they probably could have taken the lead in that point. Ndombele's not having the best day for it so far. Maybe we should move him to that other role so we can just get the better out of him. I'm just worried about having little cover. Just trying to G them up, if more than anything else at this point. After all, we have got away with that, but it is still 0-0. I'm just going to turn on some of the distribution stuff. After all, it is still a work in progress. It's just one of those things where we were getting some good results and looking quite solid in matches, and you just never know how exactly it's going to fare when you go into a full-on competitive match a lot of the time. That's a bit more like it. Just preventing Vardy, just cutting out those balls before they even get there. And Ndombele with a lovely ball for Son. He might be able to cut through here. He does. Back for Dele Alli. Ooh, dear. Right, now loads of space for Aurier. Can he get to the box or at least find a cross for us, perhaps? He's through. Ball in. Lamela with a good strike at goal. That's more like it. Son. Kane. Oh, and he's put it in. Leicester 0. Tottenham Hotspur 1. Harry Kane. Oh, wow. Imagine that combination. Heung-min Son and Harry Kane. Who could have predicted that? This is the reason I quite like that whole middle idea, because it means when we do get the ball out wide, there's acres of space for us. And it allows our fullbacks, when they do get the chance to get up there, a lot of opportunities. Bad defending from Leicester there, but we do have the lead, and it's Harry Kane. A good little passage of play from us there. Excellent stuff. Might actually then switch it to positive, just to turn that down a tiny little bit here. We've got to be strong from this. Oh my, look at the space for Fofana. Wow. Probably about time we made some subs, as people are starting to wane a little bit, and I'm tempted to actually get Lo Celso on through the middle, and maybe also try Winks instead of Ndombele, and leave that final sub, just in case. And I think when Gareth Bale returns to the team, that will definitely help us out a lot as well. I'm going to get Bergwijn on for the final 10 minutes of this match, just to try and see this one out. I think we've been better in the second half, but not so much that it's noticeably brilliant. Basically, Leicester have been definitely worse in the second half, but that doesn't stop them from scoring here. Great tackle on him there. Let's see this out. A 1-0 victory would be a good start to the season, despite not a particularly overwhelmingly good performance. But the result is what matters here. And, oh, just over the bar from Soyuncu. Well, it looks like it is going to be Leicester City 0, Tottenham 1. We've ridden our luck at times in this match, and Leicester's one more chance here. Not quite. That's a good result for us. Fortunate, I would say. Leicester were definitely good value for a goal on the night in this match, but you can definitely see how in the second half, we really did start to sort of stop them from creating anything. We gave them a lot of opportunities towards half-time, but for the most part, we shut them up in the second half and sort of got a bit better ourselves and then kind of switched off as well. Most important thing is 3 points in the bag to start things off. We've got some more data we can work with going forwards, and we've not conceded a goal yet, which is always a good sign. Players are unhappy with that. They're like, we've just won 1-0. How dare we do it? I'm not happy with the performance. Yeah, they're motivated by that because I think they know that they didn't play at their best tonight. We've looked much better than that in the other friendlies at times, particularly when we played like that. But maybe it's just Leicester City's style. I don't know. Maybe it's just not the right approach for us. But we got the win, and that's what matters. So in the next episode, we will be doing a nice little chunk of matches. Probably these 4 here against Lincoln, Burnley, somebody, and Manchester City in the Premier League. We will want to make sure that we win all of the matches. City away might be very, very difficult, but I want to make sure that we get the wins in the other 3 no matter who they are, so we can start off with a lot of momentum going forward. Maybe some new transfers? I guess we'll have to wait and see. So, if you've enjoyed this, and I really hope you have, I'm stoked that we won our first game. We've actually not lost yet, which is something. Then drop a like on the video, that'd be most lovely. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. That'd be awesome too. We've got all sorts of stuff coming up with the full game release. We've got rebuilding Bolton for YouTube, some building a nation over on Twitch is going to be sick. If you are interested in watching the streams, go over to Twitch, link in the description as well. We're streaming Tuesdays, Thursdays, and usually at the weekends as well. And I will see you guys very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Hold your gun, capybara. Bye-bye.